astronauts? Are you ready to be entertained with pointless jibber-jabber and senseless small talk? If so, then you have come to the right place. It's the Todd Cook Show, starring Todd Cook, and featuring music by local and national artists. Now, broadcasting from his garage, here is Todd Cook.
Howdy, everybody. How you doing? Glad you decided to join me on the episode number 16 of the Todd Cook Show. I am Todd Cook, and I'm broadcasting live from my garage in Wichita, Kansas. Nice, beautiful, sunny day outside. I can't wait to enjoy it. Hope it's going to be nice tomorrow as well. I got a great show lined up for you, as I always do. And what makes this podcast different than other podcasts? Well, this is the Small Talk podcast. This is the podcast where I talk about everything except for the important things. I leave the important things to the serious broadcasters. I don't take myself very serious, and you shouldn't take this show very serious, but it is very entertaining. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. If this is your first time listening, yes, I think you will enjoy it. If this is your second time listening, I think you must have enjoyed the first one, or you would not have listened to the next one. And if you've listened to every episode of the Todd Cook Show, thank you very much. You are obviously enjoying it. This is going to be a great show. I got a lot of things to talk about, and every subject that I talk about on the Todd Cook Show does not come from an internet website like a lot of other podcasters might do, and a lot of other radio talk show hosts do. They go to a website and they find their material, but every subject matter that I talk about comes from right here. That's my head. I don't know if that comes through on the microphone or not. That's me hitting my head. All the subject matter that I talk about on this program comes from right there, my very own head. Today on the show, I'm going to talk about my 6-year-old son, and about how he is learning some bad words, and about how he is starting to make nice with the ladies already. At the age of 6, he's already starting to learn how to make nice with the ladies. I'm going to tell you about that. I got music from Scott Allen Knowles coming up. I've had music from him in the past, but I'm going to play another one of his songs because I really like him. And also, I'm going to tell you about how I'm getting older. I got a birthday coming up very soon here, and I'm getting older and lazier, and I'm going to tell you about that. And I'm also going to do another edition of Kitchen Sinking. And some of you who have listened to this show in the past might remember a little bit I did a few weeks back called Kitchen Sinking, and I'm going to do another one of those at the end of this program. Great show lined up. I told you it was a good show, and right there is everything I'm going to talk about, so stay tuned. You don't want to miss any of it. Let's get started. My son, 6 years old, in kindergarten, starting to learn some bad words. Now, my 2-year-old son has also at times had some words come out of his mouth, but he cannot speak very clearly yet, so we're not real sure what he says sometimes, but who knows where they get it from. Maybe it's from TV or who knows. But the 6-year-old, he was sitting on my lap. I think it was close to his bedtime. I usually read him a story and stuff, and at some point he said, "Daddy, I learned a bad word today." I said, "Oh, you did? Did you hear it from another classmate?" And he said, "Yeah." And he goes, "But I can't say it. It sounds kind of like, it's like dude, except for you have to add something on the end." And I'm going through my head, my Rolodex of bad words. I think I know most of the bad words out there. I probably don't know all of them, but I think I might actually know all of them. And I'm going through the Rolodex of bad words in my head and trying to find a bad word that begins with dude. And by the way, I don't know where he got the word dude from either. He picked that up maybe from a cartoon or something. He's been saying that quite a bit lately. Yeah, dude. Which is really funny. When you hear a grown person say it, it's even funnier. When you hear, somebody, a teenager or even in their 20s or 30s or, yeah, dude, it's funny. But it's funny also from a 6-year-old. Yeah, dude. But he said this bad word started with dude, ended with something that made it a bad word. And as I'm going through my mind trying to figure out what this could be, the only thing, I was thinking maybe duty or something. Could not think of anything. I was like, "Well, Johnny, go ahead. Tell me what this word is," because I was curious. I couldn't think what it could possibly be. What word, starts with dude and ends up being a bad word? And he's like, "I can't say it. It's a bad word." I go, "Go ahead. Just say it quietly and let Daddy know what it is." And he said, "Doofus." I was like, "Doofus?" I said, Johnny, that's not really a bad word. I go, I think you're getting confused. Your teacher was probably letting everybody know that they shouldn't call people doofuses. They shouldn't use that word doofus, in class or whatever. Even if they're just being funny, it's not appropriate for a 6-year-old to call another 6-year-old doofus in the middle of the kindergarten classroom. So your teacher was probably just telling you, don't call people names. I go, but doofus really isn't that bad at all. I go, you can, and I pointed down at the dog that was at my feet. I said, you can call him a doofus anytime you want. It wouldn't bother Daddy at all. I said, but there are some words out there that I would not want you even calling the dog. I go, but doofus is not necessarily a bad word. I think the teacher was just telling you, don't call people names, basically. He's like, oh, I don't know if he understood or not, but he seemed to. And then he goes, well, I learned another bad word too. And I was like, another bad word? 2 bad words in one day? And he said, yeah. I'll go, what word is that? And he goes, stupid. And again, I laughed a little bit. I said, well, Johnny, stupid's not really bad either. Again, you're getting a little confused. Your teacher's telling you don't call people names. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's a bad word. That just means that it's inappropriate for you to be calling kids names, or anybody to call anybody, stupid. At the age of 6, especially, I try to explain to him, I go, when you get a little older, you'll be a little more wise, and you'll be able to discern the difference between when it's okay to call somebody stupid and when it's not. I go, but for your age, at the age of 6, you probably shouldn't call anybody stupid, or you probably shouldn't call them a doofus, but it's not really a bad word. And I go, you can call, I've called my truck stupid when it wouldn't start. I said, you stupid truck. It's not really a bad word. I go, but just wait till you're a little bit older and you'll understand better when to use it. But you can call the dog doofus at home anytime you want. You can call him stupid anytime you want. You could probably, if Daddy does something dumb, there's been times in the past where I went and got a sippy cup for the 2-year-old and a regular cup for the 6-year-old. And when I bring it to him, I give the 6-year-old the sippy cup and the 2-year-old the regular cup. And I do that, and the mess soon thereafter happens. But, if Daddy does something like that, you could call me a doofus. Mommy's called me a doofus before. But anyway, trying to make him understand the difference between not calling people names and why that's bad, and the word itself not being bad. But it was pretty funny. And then the next thing is as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, 6-year-old, and he's already starting to make nice with the girls. And let me explain this. This is one of the funniest moments that we've had as parents. He comes home, and he's with my wife. My wife tells me the story, and I think they were walking home from school, and they just got back from school, and that's really nice to be able to walk, live close enough to the school where you can walk there and back. When I was a kid, it was just like 2 blocks away to walk to grade school and back. Here, it's a little bit farther than that. I wouldn't want the 6-year-old to walk all by himself, but it's very easy to walk him to school, and Mom, I walk him to school, and Mommy can walk him back home. But on the walk back home, or maybe after they got home, I can't remember what she said, Johnny mentioned a girl in his class named Kaylin. He said, Mommy, can I play with Kaylin sometime? And Mom and my wife said, yeah, you can probably play with her. And Johnny said, okay, because I got her phone number. and as my wife was telling me the story, I was like, yeah, that's my boy getting a girl phone number already at the age of 6. But then Samantha showed me the phone number that he got. And she actually took a picture of it and posted it up on Facebook. And a lot of you out there might say, you shouldn't post people's phone numbers on Facebook, and you probably should not give people's phone numbers out over your podcast here. But I think this is okay, because the phone number that he got from this girl was 15-11. 15-11. Now, like I said, I was all proud of my son was getting a phone number from a girl, but I think he fell for one of the oldest tricks in the books, and that is a guy asking a girl for her phone number and her giving him a fake one. Now, at the age of 6, she probably was trying to do her best to give whatever she thought her phone number was, but 15-11 was this girl's phone number, and he had it on a little piece of paper they had in his pocket. So even though that might not have been a real number, he tried, and it's been a while since I've been that proud of him. So bad words, but he's getting girls' phone numbers. And with that, I'm going to take a short break. You're listening to the Todd Cook Show. I will be right back.
Hi, Todd Cook here. Do you like going out on Friday or Saturday nights for some supper and live music, but you're not into the bar scene? Because let's face it, when the alcohol starts to flow, those places can get a little loud and a bit rowdy. Sometimes to the point that it becomes difficult for you to enjoy your food or the music. Do you wish that there was a place that had good food, good music, but a less distracting atmosphere? A place that you can enjoy the food and the music, but still get home at a decent hour? Well, that place does exist, and it's right here in Wichita on the corner of Douglas and Hillside, or 110 South Hillside to be exact. It's called The Kiln. They have live music every Friday and Saturday night starting at 7 p.m. and ending at 9. The Kiln is a Christian-ran, non-alcoholic establishment that operates solely on donations. And they always have great food and great entertainment. And one of the best parts, you don't need a babysitter. You can bring the kids with you. So for more information, contact Mike through the Facebook page. The Kiln, K-I-L-N, and be sure to check it out yourself this Friday or Saturday night, 110 South Hillside, corner of Douglas and Hillside in Wichita. The Kiln, where they are always glad you came.
Okay, I am back. You're listening to the Todd Cook Show. The Todd Cook Show at gmail.com is my email address. The Todd Cook Show at gmail.com. Look up me on Facebook as well. Just go to Facebook and you can find the Todd Cook Show there as well. I don't think I've said that too often here on this show. I need to say it a little bit more. But the Todd Cook Show at gmail.com. Look me up on Facebook. Look up the Todd Cook Show on Facebook. If you want to contact me through there as well, you can do that there. All right, I talked about my son and him saying dirty words, and one thing about dirty words, I think the reason kids pick them up is because usually when they are said, they are yelled very enthusiastically. They're yelled, and so you could try to get them to say all kinds of other things like please and thank you, and it's a struggle to get them to say that. But for whatever reason, they always pick up the bad words. So I think from now on, with my 2-year-old especially, who's just now starting to pick up words quite a bit and saying small, even short little sentences at times, is to, when we want him to say please and thank you, instead of just saying, Jackson, say please, say thank you, I think we're just going to, when we get mad, we're going to start yelling please and thank you. If I drop something on the floor, please. Or if I, almost trip and fall down, thank you. Something along those lines, just to see what happens. But anyway, the next subject I wanted to talk about today, and by the way, I got music from Scott Allen Knows coming up in just a few short minutes, and a little bit I do called Kitchen Sinking that you don't want to miss. You don't want to miss this. This should be really good. It's usually a lot of fun. So stay tuned for this entire program. But now I want to talk to you all about how I'm getting older. I got a birthday coming up. I don't mind people knowing. I'm going to be 38. And some of you out there are thinking, oh, that'd be nice to only be 38. Others are thinking, boy, 38, that's really old. I hope I never get that old. Well, you do wish that you get that old, because if you wish that you're never going to get that old, that means you're going to die pretty young. So I hope most of you out there would not mind being 38. But the thing about being 38, I'm a guy, I like sports and stuff, and this is not a sports podcast. I'm not going to talk about sports at all. But one way that I gauge my how old I feel over the years has been to look at athletes on television. And I remember when I was a little kid, watching college sports, college basketball, and seeing the guys and thinking that they look like adults. They're grown men out there playing. And as I get a little bit older, I remember at some point thinking, those look like kids. I don't know, I was probably, 30 years old or something, and looking like those are like little kids out there. And, they're all at that age, they're 18, to 21, 22 years old. Not really kids, but to me, they looked really young, and it'd be kind of depressing. I'm like, I guess I'm getting old. These men that I used to watch playing on television when I was a kid, they looked like men, and now they look young. There for a while, I tried to convince myself that the college athletes were getting younger and younger. Like maybe they were starting them in college at the age of 14 or 15, but that's not the case. The reason they look younger is because I'm getting older. And then at some point, it went from the college level to the professional level, to where definitely when I was a kid, the professionals definitely looked like men to me. They looked like adults. And at some point they looked like peers, like they were the same age as me, and they were the same age as me. And now I'm finding more and more that when I watch professional sports on TV and I see the players out there, I'm starting to think they look like kids too, a lot of them. There's some of them that just look like they could pass as a teenager. Now, at the professional level, very few of them, if any, are teenagers. Most of them are in their mid-20s at least, but they look like kids to me. And I see the cheerleaders on the sideline and stuff like that, and wow, they're like little kids a lot of times. So I'm really getting older, and I told my wife that when I turn 40, forget about it. I'm going to have at least a year or two of a pretty deep depression. And the reason for that is, once again, I always compare myself to athletes a lot on television. At the professional level, you'll find plenty of athletes that are doing really well at whatever sport they play that are in their 20s. Obviously, that's a young, vibrant age to be a professional athlete. But you also find plenty of them that are still getting it done in their 30s. Now, mostly it's in the lower 30s, between the age of 30 and 35, and about in the mid-30s, that's where things start dropping off quite a bit. And you will find some athletes, that are in, 37, 38, 39, and still doing, fairly well. And even in football, like a kicker, there are a couple of them out there that are in their 40s, but very few in their 40s. A lot in their 30s, mostly in the lower 30s, but there's a lot in their 30s that are still winning championships, still at the top of their game. But when you get to that 40, it drops off big time. And these are professional athletes that work hard at what they do. And I'm just a guy who sits in my recliner and watches TV and plays guitar. So imagine at the age of 40, if you're an athlete, and it drops off at the age of 40. Imagine what's going to happen to me, somebody who hasn't done much in the world of athletics for 10 years. Imagine what's going to happen to me. It's going to drop off really quick. And so I told my wife, when I turn 40, there's going to be a little while. That'll probably be my midlife crisis. But at some point, and the bad thing is I can't afford to buy a Corvette. I can't, get some nice car or anything like that. So all I'm going to be able to do is sit around and be depressed for a few years, knowing that at the age of 40, it's done. I'm done. And, my body, I got my two boys, and it's hard to keep up with them. It's getting harder and harder, and got another baby on the way. And by the time it's old enough to start playing and stuff, I'll be well into my 40s. And so I don't know what I'm going to do. It's going to be kind of tough. One thing that I have learned about myself over the years is that as long as I'm sitting still, like in my recliner or outside on the patio, if I'm sitting still, I feel just like I did back when I was 25. Just as healthy, just as energetic, just as vibrant. I feel just as good as I did when I'm 25 when I'm sitting still. The problem is when I get up and try to do something, my body quickly reminds me that I'm not as young as I used to be. All right, let's play that song by Scott Allen Knows. As I said, I've had his songs featured on this program several times in the past. He's a really good local artist here out of Wichita, and I'm going to play another song from him right now. So you're listening to The Todd Cook Show, and this is Scott Allen Knows with this song called Drown.
Give it away a minute too late. Failure to launch once again. You're holding too close, you can't let it go. Doubting is what does you in. Doesn't it feel like you're drowning? Reaching and gasping for air. Doesn't it feel like you're drowning in you? You don't care. I know you try. never be replaced. So dry your eyes where the waters they rise. Fill up the empty space. Doesn't it feel like you're drowning? Reaching and gasping for air. Doesn't it feel like you're drowning in you? You don't care. Doesn't it feel like you're drowning? Reaching and gasping for air. Doesn't it feel like you're drowning in you? You don't care.
Scott Allen Knows with Drown. Scott Allen Knows, SCOTTALLANKNOST.com. You can go there and find out more about him and listen to more of his songs there, or look him up on iTunes as well. That song was brought to you by B&B Towing. Out of Mulvane, Kansas, Cheyenne Brown, owner and operator. If you need a tow, if you need a jump start, if you need a winch out, if you've been locked out of your vehicle, if you need somebody to deliver fuel to you, you know, if you run out of gas, I've done that a couple times. Back in Indiana, I remember doing it multiple times. But or if you got an old clunker car and you need somebody to haul it off and maybe even give you a little money for it, call Cheyenne Brown, B&B Towing, 316-214-4021 out of Mulvane, Kansas. So if you live anywhere near Wichita, Kansas, this is the guy to call. He is a 20-year veteran of the United States Air Force. Cheyenne Brown, B&B Towing, 316-214-4021. And with that, it's time to take another little break here. This is the Todd Cook Show, and I'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. Do you live in the Wichita area? Are you looking for a great place for lunch or dinner? Do you love live acoustic music but don't know where to go? Try the Artichoke Sandwich Bar. It is located on the corner of Broadway and Murdoch in Wichita, and it is a fantastic place to eat and listen to live music. It is located on the corner of Broadway and Murdoch in Wichita, and what goes better with a sandwich than a cold beer? So look up the Artichoke Bar on Facebook today to find out when they are opened and what musical artist is performing next. They just celebrated their 30th year in business, so you know they're doing something right. The Artichoke Sandwich Bar, 811 North Broadway, Wichita, Kansas, where everything is okie dokie artichoke. Hi, everybody.
Whoops, sorry about that. I am back with my commercial, and that right there proves that this show is recorded live. I hit the record button, and I do not stop recording until it is done. If this show is a half hour long, then that's how long I've been on this microphone. Right now, it's showing about 24 and a half minutes. And that was a little mistake by me. Pushed the wrong button. Then I pushed that wrong button again. And then I had to push a couple buttons at the same time to get it to stop doing what it was doing. But that'll happen on occasion of the show. I might not be a professional board op, but I am a professional podcaster. Actually, I'm not even that either, but I'm doing the best I can out here. All right, it's time for a little bit that I call kitchen sinking. And let me explain this bit to you out there who might not have heard of it before. I listen to a lot of talk radio, and nowadays a lot of podcasts. And there was one particular talk radio program that I used to listen to quite a bit, where one day they came up with this list that they downloaded off the internet of 10 things that talk radio DJs are never supposed to do. Or maybe not even just talk radio DJs, just anybody on the radio. These are 10 things that you're not supposed to do. And one of those things was something that was referred to as kitchen sinking. And what that meant was that you're not supposed to switch topics too often during a program, because people can't keep up with it. You can't talk about this and that and another thing. You can't throw everything into the conversation, including the kitchen sink. So you're not supposed to kitchen sink. But here on the Todd Cook Show, I know that my audience will be able to keep up no matter how many times I switch topics. So I'm going to do a little thing here called kitchen sinking, and I got a little music for it. I'm going to turn that music on right now. turn it down in the background, nice and quietly. I want to start going through a bunch of topics here. I've got a list of them here, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about each one. This is kind of a shortened version of kitchen sinking. I think last time I did it, I covered over 50 topics, and there's nowhere near that. And we only got about 4 minutes left on this program anyway. So I'm going to talk about one subject, and then when it's time to switch subjects, I'm going to hit this button. So you hear that ding noise, and when you hear, you know I'm moving on to another subject. So here we go, kitchen sinking on the Todd Cook Show. Tuna fish. This is a term that I had not heard, I believe, until I moved to Kansas. My wife refers to it as tuna fish. I just say tuna. What other kind of tuna can it be? Is it going to be tuna pork? Is it going to be tuna beef? Obviously, it's tuna. Tuna is a fish. So it's tuna fish. You don't have to say tuna fish. It's not a tuna fish sandwich. It's just a tuna sandwich. Big screens, little screens. We have all these little portable computer devices, these tablets. And at first it was like, get everything really small as you can. Can you put it in your pocket? Look how thin it is, how lightweight it is. And then it got, well, you got to have an iPad that is bigger. You got to have a bigger screen. And then they said, well, this is too big. We need something a little bit smaller. And so they made this one that's kind of bigger than your cell phone, but not as big as a tablet. Make up your mind, people. Do you want it big? Do you want it small? You can't have a big screen and have a small thing at the same time. I think that's what they want. They want something that's really small, but still has a big screen on it. Until you come out with my idea that I had a long time ago, where you scroll it open. You have like a little round thing, and you scroll the screen open. Until you come up with that idea, things are going to have to be big or they're going to have to be small. You can't have both. Here in Kansas, the weather changes quite frequently. In over the last month, we had days where it was snowing and cold, and then it got up in the 60s, and then it was snowing and cold again. Then one day we reached 80 degrees, and then 3 days later it was snowing again. I think Kansas might be the only state where you can get die of a heat stroke or frostbite all in the same month. A lot of people have goals in their life. Some people have pretty lofty goals. My goals are a little bit simpler. At least this goal I have is simpler. I have one goal in my life. Someday, I would like to be able to take a frozen pizza out of the freezer, take it out of the box, and put it into the oven without eating at least one pepperoni off of it. Have you ever seen pictures of, like on the side of a sunscreen bottle, suntan lotion bottle, or on a beach towel maybe? I got this idea off of a cartoon. A lot of times you'll see these pictures and you'll see the sun depicted on the picture, and the sun is wearing sunglasses. Why would the sun ever need to wear sunglasses? Hard candy is sold. You know, we've had a lot of holidays. You got Halloween, you got Valentine's Day, you got Easter. There's all kinds of holidays where you get candy. Has anybody taken a hard piece of candy and sucked it all away until nothing was left without biting it? I don't think they have. So why don't they just make it to where when you suck it to a certain point, then it just explodes in your mouth because you're going to chew it up anyway. Ketchup is for little kids, okay? Ketchup is what you put on kids' macaroni and cheese or their hot dog or whatever food that they will not eat. You put ketchup on them to make ketchup on that food to make the kid eat it. When adults get ketchup, I don't understand it. Adults should have mustard or relish or some other kind of horseradish sauce. Horsey sauce, I love it. Ketchup is for kids. If you're an adult and you're eating ketchup, something's wrong with you. There's not enough Velcro in this world. Velcro is one of the best things ever invented, and there's just not enough of it in the world. My son has some shoes that I try to tighten them up. They use Velcro, but I try to tighten them up and I run out of Velcro. They only have got like this little slither of Velcro on there, and if it doesn't line up with that, then his shoes are going to fall off. I need another inch of Velcro there so I can reach it all the way around. I need a belt that latches with Velcro. I need pants that latch with Velcro, shirts that come together with Velcro. Velcro is great. We need more Velcro. Is it just me, or does it seem like words of wisdom seem a little less wise once they're posted on Facebook? That's it. That's it for this edition of Kitchen Sinking, and that's it for this edition of the Todd Cook Show. Once again, I know my listening audience is smart enough to be able to stick with me through those topics. You're not supposed to do that. I'm not supposed to switch topics that often, but I went through probably a dozen topics there in about 2 or 3 minutes. And since you guys are smart enough, I'm sure you did not have any problem whatsoever with following through on that edition of Kitchen Sinking. Now, it's time for me to finish this show here. If I can just figure out what the button is to push the right music that should be coming up here real shortly here. There it is. Boy, that's 2 big bad button pushing experiences on the same episode. I need to get better at that. I arranged things a little differently on my soundboard, and I thought I'd be able to catch on to it fairly quickly, but apparently I was wrong, as I had 2 big errors in the button pushing category. Thanks for listening. This is the Todd Cook Show. There'll be another episode of the Todd Cook Show 1 week from today. So please log on to the internet, tell your friends about it, tell your church about it. Look me up on Facebook. Do whatever you can to get the word around. This is the Todd Cook Show. Tune in next week. I'll talk. You listen.